Hey, thanks for everyone for joining us for another episode of the Q2 podcast sponsored by PanVisio. My name is Joel Lopez, and in this episode, this return episode, I want to give you a quick update on where I've been, what I've been up to, and some of the lessons I've learned along the way now that I've been a little more mindful of this journey of starting PanVisio. I want to share with you 3 things that I would do differently if I had to go back and do it again. Before I get into the first thing, I want to share with you some context what I've been up to. One, I've been still active with the business and having clients and working on projects. So that's one thing. What I haven't been as active on is drumming up new business and also content. And I'll tell you why. This past summer, I've been really thinking about, my wife and I have been really thinking about growing our family. And I'm entertaining this thought of going back to higher ed and having this as a part-time thing again as for PanVisio. And because of that, I've been really kind of second-guessing myself about what I can produce, overthinking, and fearful that maybe I could be a final candidate on something, and they might research what kind of episodes I've done. And being that there's some episodes where I cover race and politics, they might get a little, fearful of that and shy away. And so I looked at some of the content I produced as almost like a liability for me getting a job in higher ed. And so I've been kind of going back on that and really rethinking that. Now that I have some time to really reflect on where I am, where I want PanVisio to be, and also family goals that I have with my wife and I have, I've really kind of come to terms with some of these things. And so while I'm not out of the woods yet with this, I definitely feel like I'm landing on something. And while I'm not shutting PanVisio down, I do plan on making a slight pivot that I'll share with you at another episode. But during the course of me being, thinking through all these scenarios and all this time, I kind of was 3 things came up that I would say I would do differently if I can do it again. And this may help some of you out there who are considering taking your side hustle, public speaking or coaching, anything that has a positive impact on someone's life. If you're a social entrepreneur, a nonprofit leader, you started a nonprofit on the side and work full time, this may be 3 things that might help you, or you might want to share this with someone who's considering making that jump. The first thing I would have done was I would have slowed down significantly. It's almost what you want to do in social is create a launching pad to jump from social media to an actual business. And what I mean by that is you create a following on social media that is a large following, and you build that up because it's within those individuals that will support you in that launch process. So I have about, and I'm going to be just totally transparent with all this stuff, I have just over 100 people who like my Facebook page. I should have been working on that years ago to get that in the thousands by now. And the reason why is because from that thousands mark, it would have been easier for me to make a pivot into the actual official business down the road. And so also, by creating a following on social, you connect with individuals. It's a free platform. It's amazing technology where you can create content that can create trust and you should demonstrate authority on the topics that you cover and offer a lot of value. And when you give people something that's meaningful, they tend to want to repay it back down the road. So it's almost like you front load the goods, the value, and then down the road, when you make that pivot into official business, they're more likely to, give it back to you. And even that's not guaranteed. There's more likely. And you kind of, with the increase in followers in social media, you really, cushion yourself with that. So think of it like this: instead of having, calling up a random stranger like, hey, can we do your website for you? We only support nonprofits. We care about nonprofit missions. That's the only clients we take on. Can we do a nonprofit for you? that's a harder sale. I've done that, and I have clients where that's worked out. It takes a lot of hustle and grinding, and which I actually enjoy the challenge, and I'm a sicko that way. But while that's good, if you can help it, it's what's even better is if you have a community that already knows you, knows your skills and talents, because you've been doing videos, live broadcasts, you've been putting your workshops on for free on social media. You've done that you could build that trust, so that when the need comes up, or when you reach out to them and say, hey, I checked it, look, thanks so much for liking my last post, I looked at your website, I think I could be able to help you out with this, they're more likely to respond in a positive manner. The sales cycle will be a lot shorter, because there's no time that you have to use in building that trust and that rapport. They already know you and believe in you. So that's the first one. Create a following social media first, and create a big following. I wouldn't jump so fast. I probably would have waited until I got into maybe several thousand followers, maybe 2,000, 3,000, before actually going to an actual business route. So, which gets me to my second point. So the first thing is create a following on social media. But one more thing about that is that by being patient, you can create a following, craft your message, craft your speaking skills, craft the use of technology on social without feeling even more pressure when it's an official business of yours. You get to play around with these things and find your voice by giving yourself time to build a platform on social media first. And also you get to develop what's your sweet spot. For me, I when it comes to speaking, I do better when I have a partner, when I'm interviewing someone, as opposed to doing these solo episodes. So obviously you have to make do with what you have. You have to work harder on that if that's the case, but you get to build on your craft and hone in on your skill sets. So that's the first thing, that's the benefit with that. And also you get instant feedback, right? So you get to see by the number of posts that you have and how many likes you have, which one's more popular than others. And that's a real thing. If no one's liking your stuff, which I've come across sometimes, it really forces you to look at what can you do better, how can you improve, and go from there. So that's like the best test for yourself, right? If you can see that if the stuff you're putting out is resonating with people, it's almost giving you a hint that, hey, there's a market need for it, that people will actually give you money for it if they're interested in the topic. So that's just a beautiful thing about social. And it's a bit of a jungle out there, so you just have to hack away at it and carve a space for yourself out there. And it's hard, but that's a good thing to test against. So that's why it's another reason why it's great to build a following on social too. And if I could do it again, I would totally spend more time on building that first and foremost. Here's the second thing I would do differently is create simple and repeatable sales and service funnel. What the heck does that mean? So basically think of it as like a triangle, an inverted triangle, right? And on the top, you have all the people that come across your Facebook page or your Instagram or Snapchat or whatever it is. And because you have an increased following, that base becomes wider and wider. Now, as you increase that base, you hopefully increase the people who want to learn more. There's some people who just want to consume your content and they don't want to have anything else to do with you. They don't want to get to know you. They don't want to find out what you do, what you're all about, your philosophy on this or that, or what you're selling. They don't care. They just want to consume the content and keep it moving. But out of that base, there are going to be a few people who actually say, hey, what does this guy actually do for a living? He's talking about all this technology stuff, or he's talking about all this health and wellness stuff, and he seems very knowledgeable. I wonder if he has a product that he sells or something that he can help me with, a coaching session, strategy session, whatever it is. And that small people who say yes will like you. They might even help you share your stuff, and they might even buy from you or pay for a coaching session. So that's where that second layer of the triangle, and the inverted triangle comes in the funnel. And then the third layer is when people who actually will pay for it repeat, or pay for it, and you see that it's less work for you to sell something or do something because what you offer is simple. So what I mean by that is, for example, I have a friend who does fitness, and he's done a great job. He's won some competitions recently, and he first started off with coaching sessions, one-on-one, in his house, in his basement, at the gym, and eventually grew into something where he actually bought a fitness center where he rents out at a plaza, and he helps people there. You have to be realistic with the way you are, and for me that was a big one. Like, my knowledge of business and marketing, all that stuff, was way ahead of where I actually was in business and marketing. So I can talk a lot about these issues. I love dissecting it, but my knowledge of these things was ahead of where I actually was as a business myself. And so I might have tried to unconsciously skip steps in terms of the foundation and the groundwork. And one of that is, biting off more than you can chew in terms of offering solutions. So what my friend did, who's in fitness, again, he started off with just small coaching, one-on-one, some diet, nutrition stuff. And, eventually, he repeated that enough that he was able to invest in renting a building, and then he scaled up from there. So if you're thinking about, writing a book, one of the things you can do is, instead of waiting till the whole book is complete, write a blog, do small snippets and release it in bite-sized forms, and then build it up to a place where you combine it and repurpose it as a book and self-publish it from there. Or do a small ebook, repeat that, and if you can do a small ebook, and then you can do the small sales of a small ebook, $7, $6, whatever it is, sell that. Then you go to a big book that might be $20, $30. Then you go into something bigger later. So that's the second thing I would do differently, is simple and repeatable sales funnel, and sales and service funnel. Meaning, everyone I interfaced with on the beginning on social media, as I grew my social media platform, I would say, hey, they would come up to me and say, hey, I noticed you said you really like website design, and you talk about this and da-da-da. Can you do our website? And they might want all the bells and whistles. I would literally hand them over to someone else and say, hey, I'm just doing something. I'm just doing the basic website stuff. So it's a quick turnaround. I'll charge you more, but it takes like 10 times more actual work. And then like that doesn't work out in terms of the margins, So I would have tried to go keep it small, keep it simple and repeatable, where I can start forecasting. Or I have 5 people that I helped out with their website for $200 each. That's pretty decent. How can I get to 6 next month, 7 next month, that kind of thing? And because they're simple services with basic website redesigns, nothing fancy, nothing crazy, but still cheap and still affordable, how can I do that in a way that's like, repeatable? So that way I'm just building up on sales and the profits, that down the road I can see, all right, now I can predict that I'm growing, but 6 months from now I can afford an actual business, because to open up a business costs money itself. To renew your LLC every year, depending on where you incorporate, costs money. I do business in New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. I have to pay every year to do business in those markets. So you have to have like a cushion for yourself that allows you to make it work. And that was really tough. Me learning that was really tough. I would take on projects that were big, and I'm by myself, and I'm doing a podcast, and then next thing you know, something falls through the cracks. And so that really hurt me in terms of momentum. So which leads me to the third thing. I would not have started off with LLC right off the bat. I would have done my work, and once I can produce my work in a repeated fashion, this could be potentially a goal for you. If you can get people to pay you money for something 3 times or every month for 3 or 4 months, and what they're paying you is going up somewhat, that's a good sign. But if you find that you get a client for 1 month and then no clients for a second month, and then another client for the following month, and it's sporadic and they don't pay you that much, and it's like, then you don't have something that's sustainable that gives you a good indicator that you should go full time with it. If I played that, thankfully, I'm in a place where someone's paying me monthly off the bat as a retainer for my services. If I would have done that repeatedly if I was able to scale that with other individuals and show like, okay, I have people doing this in a way that I can forecast, then I can see, all right, now I have a business now. If I have no sales, you don't have a business. And that's just a reality. I'll be paying to incorporate an LLC for nothing if I have no one paying me for anything. I'm paying for the doors to be open and nothing. That's it. So I would have kind of given myself a higher standard to say, all right, now this is an actual business. Before, it's just an idea, it's a concept. It's not a hobby, because it's more than a hobby for some of us. But we have to, be really honest. I know I've learned this through experience and through the hard way, to be honest with where you are really. And so I just wanted to share with you guys that those are the 3 things I would do differently. Is the first one is social media following. Build that up. Out of that built up social media following, I would then convert that followers into sales opportunities or support opportunities and service opportunities, where donations if you're a church, and convert that. And if I can do that in a way that I can forecast and replicate, outcomes, then I have an actual business, and then I would have done an LLC. And I would have kept all of this under joedlopez.com. And then when I was ready for LLC, then I would have done PanVisio. So that's kind of like where I want to end things off with. What's next for me? What's next for PanVisio? I'm going to kind of downplay PanVisio in terms of the services we offer, and not focus so much on that, and focus some more so on my brand as Joed Lopez, as a thought leader, public speaking, blogging, podcasting, and just focus more on that and build that up. Because originally, to be honest, when I met with John and Freddie and others, when we first started this thing, it was really, the podcast was the original goal to build up, and then we have people come to us when they for the sales. So basically, the podcast and the value we offered for the podcast was our marketing, technically. And people who learn about us through the podcast will learn that we also do these services, and then boom, the sales process wouldn't be like a car sales or cold calling type thing. It will be warm leads. They would say yes they'll ask us what our prices are. They'll ask us what we offer, as opposed to us just hitting up random people, cold calling as much. At least that was the original plan. So if you think about it, I'm kind of going back to the origins of why I started the podcast, and go from there. So the PanVisio podcast, the Q2 podcast might be renamed like the Social Change Podcast, and it will be under joedlopez.com, or it might have its own website, socialchangepodcast.com, and leave that there. PanVisio would just be the services. I won't probably touch that website too much. And joellopez.com will be just for my writing. And you know what, to even be simpler, I'll probably keep everything on joellopez.com, the podcast too, and then just have PanVisio as for the services side, and that's it. I'm going to actually strip away the blog from panvisio.org and recycle it in joellopez.com, dump all the content there, so that, that's where the focus will mainly be on. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be keeping my LLC. I was really close to closing it down, but I found out if I was incorporated in Delaware, and if you incorporate in Pennsylvania, there's no renewal fee. Once you incorporate in Pennsylvania, the LLC can be dormant and not active, and you can still keep things open. Whereas in Delaware, you renew every single year, and it's really expensive. So if you want to talk about where to incorporate, unless you're going to be a huge multinational company, you can just incorporate in your state where you live in and call it a wrap. Okay. So those are things that I learned and I wanted to share with you. And I hope, we stick together on this journey of talking about social change and exploring race and identity and politics and higher education together, even and technology and all those things. And we move forward from there and, have fun while we do it. This is a marathon. I'm going to be taking this more of a marathon approach as opposed to a sprint, and have fun with it and experiment with it and go from there. So I hope you're willing to join me for this ride. That's it for now. Until next time, joellopez.com, panvisio.org, and check it out. And I hope to hear from you soon. God bless. Have a great one. See ya.